of like 18 participants. So we don't want to like spread it too, you know what I mean? There's a limit to how many people we can like safely have on the water. And so yeah, kind of a fine line of like getting the word out there, but not like really out there. We have registration and we can cap it at 18 and let people know, next year or whatever.
So you've got the event, it's gonna be on September 1st. It's 3 to 6 PM. Of that time frame, how much of that is gonna be in the boat on the river? I'm assuming not all of it. You thinking like 2 hours of it or
Yep,
something like
yep.
that?
So we usually do like a safety talk, orientation, talk a little bit about what we're looking for beforehand. So I'm guessing about a half hour, get people loaded. Yeah, 2 hours just out and back. And then the last half hour, snacks. Yeah, pack up and go.
Okay. Real quick, if it's the power lines, I think it is, they're just to the south side of the bridge, so it would be from the intake to the, underneath the bridge.
Okay.
Oh, so it's real close.
Yeah, it's not a large area.
So is this something that we're needing to vote on, or does this go to council, or is this just for our information?
So thank you for that. Typically in the past, historically, y'all have brought events to council. There's nothing in the charter that requires that, nor a policy that requires that. However, I would absolutely respect if you chose to maintain that historical pattern. You could allow me to move forward with that administratively, and I think your decision there would be what I'd like to hear next. If it does go before council, it would be, of course, on the 24th, which is still a little over about a week before the event itself. I will say that I've reviewed the application, had the opportunity to coordinate with Sarah via email about this event, and I do support this. I think that they're doing a fairly straightforward and safe event here. But I'll rely on this committee to direct me. This is really one of the first ones that we've had where somebody's coming and using the park specifically. So I wanted to make sure that we touched on that.
There's a little confusion as to whether the meeting on the 10th was changed to a city council meeting instead of a work session.
Yeah, it was, and we could actually, if what you're asking is could we do it on that date, we could actually, yes, we could move.
I was just thinking it might be better. I just want them to have a yes or no, and I'm not comfortable until we bring it before council and chat with council about it to just say we're gonna arbitrarily decide not to anymore. If
Yes, ma'am.
Okay with everybody else.
Yeah, we're being consistent.
Yeah. I just want to make sure that we're consistent and not all of a sudden just making our own decisions.
Are you gonna do this every time that there's an event, bring it before the council?
Well, that's why I just said we need to bring it to council this time, because historically we have done that. And then at that time, bring it up to council and say, do you want this to keep coming to council, or are we okay to make these decisions on our own? But I think that it needs to be a decision made by everybody and not just us deciding that we're not going to do it anymore. Does that make sense? Just because that's what we've done in the past.
I don't know why the committee would have a say in it, really.
So the process that I'd like us to implement moving forward is this exactly. When somebody brings a proposal for use of a city park, I'd like it to come before the Parks Committee to think about it from that lens specifically and to provide a recommendation to council. Given that your direction now is to move forward to council, I would ask you to craft your comments and questions in a way that will help you when you provide recommendations to council. And I would agree with you, in 4 days from now is a good time to do that. I had forgotten that absolutely that's a regular council meeting and we could add this to that agenda.
Yeah, right, and then we can discuss that at that time, if there's time in the meeting. We don't know how busy our meeting is already. So. So, do we need to do a recommendation, or do we just go ahead and kick it up to council? How do we go by that? Do we vote?
I would like to know how committee is feeling about the event. If there's questions that currently aren't answered yet, that either myself as staff or Sarah could answer between now and the actual council date. Is there anything that you would like to say or ask about now before we move forward to that point?
No, I don't think so.
These are invasive weeds.
Yes.
These are invasive weeds, correct?
Yes. Yep. Yep. There's groups, like the city of Eugene is battling them all over. We've been emailing with them. How's the population down there? So yeah, they're kind of the hot ones. They're kind of like, from what I understand, like the Scotch broom of the water, sort of.
So I think we asked all our questions
Okay.
for now.
Hearing no additional questions at the moment, I will refer this to council. Sarah, I'll touch base with you and see if there's anything that we've gleaned from this meeting that we might want you to provide to council between now and then.
Great. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Happy to answer any follow-up questions. And I can also pull in Amanda. She's on that email as well. She's our river scientist. And also, yeah, if it gets approved and you all have any recommendations of people I could reach out to invite or work with you all as a committee to get the word out, I would love the opportunity. So just to introduce myself again as a connection, and if down the road there's any like stewardship events that you all would like to do and want some council collaboration, very open to discuss that as well. And thanks for having me. Sorry I didn't get to meet the baby. All right, thanks.
Thank you, Sarah.
I still
Thank
have
you.
a question of, if they have family events down at the park, or a wedding, or whatever else, all this has to go before the council?
That's what we're going to have to determine. It has historically, so I don't feel good personally as the chair of this committee, just deciding that we're not gonna do that anymore. So I want to discuss that when it comes up in council to see how everybody feels about that and where we can say, these things don't need to be discussed and these things do. Just because that's what we've done in the past. So it's the courtesy of saying, this is how we've done it in the past. How do we feel about it now? And just kind of taking the temperature of what's going on again.
But you got a city administrator that can take care of this stuff.
Absolutely.
Councilor Cuthbertson, I'd like to just comment really briefly. I fully support what you're saying there because we don't have a written policy right now. So I would like for council to provide that guidance so that we can develop that written policy and have it on record. If council says we don't need to hear this, have it go through committee and the city administrator approves it, then we'll move forward with that direction. However, if they say no, we would like to continue to approve or deny every application for use of the city park or any event for that matter, then we'll leave it to their wisdom and decision on that. I appreciate your question though, Tim. It's really because we only have a historical precedent and nothing in writing guiding us.
I appreciate that. So make up some kind of guidelines and follow those, but to wait 3 weeks before an event to decide that, oh, well, the council could approve it or not, well, that's not right.
Well, and that's why we decided to go ahead and do it this way. This time is because on the 10th, we've changed it to a city council meeting, so it will go to council on the 10th. So that was going to be a shorter time frame.
I appreciate that, but if it wasn't, and the council decided to put a kibosh on it on a week before the event, that's not very kosher.
No, and I think had that been the case, I think that's why we asked that question. Had that been the case, I think we may have chosen differently,
Okay,
so.
thank you.
Yeah, and Tim, there's a 7-day time period for event approvals for small events of this size, as we state on our application. So it's absolutely within the realm of reason. This isn't, again, anything with a lot of moving parts or a lot of people.
Well, this particular one isn't, but, you know, if you have something a lot bigger that takes a lot more time and effort, then I'd be ticked off at the city, so just letting you know.
Oh, Tim, that's why our application specifically has those categories. The number of people and the complexity of the event dictates the amount of time before that event Parks Committee and Council hears about it. So that is reflective of the complexity of the event itself. Yeah.
EJ, your volume is fluctuating back and forth.
My apologies. Let me see if I can fix that. Sarah, I think we're good.
I'm gonna hop off. Thank you all. Talk to you later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Y'all, I'll be right back.
Okay.
And that's what we've done historically.
Do what?
How beautiful.
Hey, y'all, that should be a lot better now. I'm hoping.
Oh, that sounds good.
Good. Okay. Thank you for your patience.
All right,
Right.
so shall we move to the nursery credit?
Yes, that sounds perfect.
I'm not sure what all needs to be said about that. I can say that we did, Counselor Evans and I did go to look at the closest nursery for plants, and it was underwhelming. And so we're going to try another one. We're a little bit hampered by the smoke. Everybody apparently is deciding to be closed due to smoke. So we plan on doing that here as soon as we can get out to do that. And I think I have somebody else I'll be chatting with too that was recommended to have some ideas about how specific we want to be on the plants. Like if we're going to use yarrow and it's going to be native, does it have to be the scrubby yellow yarrow that's an inch tall from the woods, or can we use yarrow in general because it is native to Oregon? And just kind of like how fine of a line do we need to walk with that? So I don't know if anybody has any comments about that, but I do want to mention that we do want to work on the master plan, so we don't want to dive too deep into that. But if anybody has any comments
Where are you
on
gonna
that. They're going to go around the signs, the Monroe sign on either end, and then in the center at the park.
And they're gonna get watered out?
That's why we're doing natives, and we're hoping to put them in this fall so that they can get established, and that way they should be fine. They have the best chance of survival doing that.
And we also irrigate over there in the summer with horny wells.
In the park, but not at the sign.
Not at science.
Is this the Pacific Power nursery credit?
It is.
And Mark, remind me, I believe you've mentioned this already. When do these credits expire?
I'm not sure on the new expiration date. I'd have to check that.
New expiration date. Does that imply that it's been extended or?
It was, yes. Don went and talked to the folks that gave them to us and got an extension. I just can't remember how long it was.
I thought, in my mind, I'm thinking September, but I could be completely off kilter.
Yeah, I can check with Don.
Perfect. So I know that Mark, you wanted is this something you wanted to touch on with anything in particular with these credits?
No, I'm just ready to use that money.
Oh, sorry there, Mark. I couldn't hear you.
Oh, you couldn't hear me? I said, no, nothing to touch on specifically. I'm just ready to use the funds that we got.
Okay. Counselor Cuthbertson, what do you recommend for just a rough timeline for what our next steps are?
For the plants,
Yes.
I'm hoping if the smoke lifts and we can get out there, that maybe we can go in the next week. All we need to do is determine how many plants, what plants and how many plants. And then, I don't know, like, we can do like a PO, like we can let them know what we want. And then I don't know if Mark wants to go get them or how we want to handle that. So we need to figure that piece out as well. And then, my concern is I don't want to get them here when it's still too hot and dry. And we do have to do major watering to keep them alive. That would be my biggest concern. If the closer we can get them to fall time where we don't have to babysit them, from, having transplant shock and hot weather, the better off we're gonna be, if that makes any sense. And that's just that part is just my opinion.
Absolutely.
Have you been in touch with this lady up here, used to be a bed and breakfast, about 10th and Commercial?
These funds have to be used at specific nurseries.
Well, that's fine. I'm just saying, this lady knows all kinds of stuff
Oh, okay.
that would probably, and she's wanting to fit in with the community, so she might be beneficial to help with your project.
It would be good to involve her in the project, yes, and we also have professional opinions too that we're drawing
Sure.
on, so,
Well, she's
yeah,
a
but,
professional.
yeah.
Have you met her?
I have not met her yet, but I will go make contact.
Would be a good idea.
Do you know her name?
Yeah. Ask me later.
Lori. Jim and Lori on the
You got it. Yep. I'm not sure about the last name, but yeah,
I think Jim and Lori.
good people.
All right,
All right.
anything else?
No, I think that's it. Other than to say, if you do need support when you get those plans and go to put them in, obviously we can coordinate time, for Public Works to support that. Mark, I'm sure you'd be happy to as long as you have a little bit of advance notice, I'm guessing.
Yeah, definitely.
That'd be good, and like I said, it'd be nice to, once we get them, just kind of set up a time, see if we can get community involvement. People with skin in the game will keep track of things and might take some stewardship over them as well.
Absolutely.
Her last name is Bogier.
Oh, yeah.
So here,
I have his phone number and give it to you afterwards.
all right, I think we're on to the Parks Master Plan.
Yes, indeed.
So TJ,
All right.
do you have a plan for that, or how do we want to proceed?
Yeah. So I wanted to just start at a high level on this plan. I wanted to get some historical reference points from, I think everybody on this committee has been around for a long time, including Mark, who staffs the committee. So what we want to start to think about is, as we're updating our comprehensive plan, and Tim knows about that. We just talked about that a few days ago. This is going to fold into it. This plan is going to be a part of that comprehensive plan, and also a part of the land use codes that get into even more detail than the comprehensive plan does. Tells people what they can and can't do, and where we're going to build parks now or in the future. So this is really important. My plan over the next, I would like to see a couple of months of work on this. It's not a lot of documentation actually, but it's really it's quick and easy to read as well. First thing I'm going to do is just orient us to the plan in the first several pages, because that really grounds us in what the authors were thinking at the time. And I think, how many folks were involved with this, with city government in 2011? Was anybody here? I know y'all have been around for a while, but was anybody here involved in this process?
Me,
Yep.
I was around, but I wasn't involved with this.
Nice. That's awesome. So, this was back when we had Mayor Frank Thayer. You can see, of course, our council members. We had, of course, Harry Myers. I see his name on everything going back a really long time. And then, of course, the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. Tim, there you are.
I are there.
Nice. And then that was when we had, of course, Jim Menard, who was assistant to the mayor at the time and the planner. So the actual document is broken out fairly simply. I really do appreciate, we'll talk about the introduction, chapter 1 here in a minute, but I really do appreciate their organization. Chapter 1 just kind of sets the framework for what kind of community we are, how many people we have, what they look like, and what our plans are for the community. Chapter 2 is getting at a planning framework. This is the piece, y'all, that connects very closely to our comprehensive plan and to those land use codes I was talking about a minute ago. So you're going to be helping out Planning Commission as part of this work you're doing. It, again, lays out the vision for parks and recreation specifically within the comprehensive plan, the map of the comprehensive plan, where we want to see things go, and how we classify parks, and also how we get to and from those parks, this trails piece, something that the Planning Commission actually talked a lot about last week or earlier this week. Chapter 3 gets at what our park system looks like currently. This is where we'll revisit it and start to think about what happened in the last 15 years, what changed in any way that might have altered the goals of this plan somehow. Is that possible? There are a number of components in public involvement. We may include potentially some public involvement through surveys or town hall. But this piece is here just to let you know about how we got to those conclusions at the time. This chapter 5, this is the other one, the second chapter that I want you all to really focus on, that page 19 through 22. This is a needs analysis, which essentially says between now and effectively a 20-year period of time from now, what kind of parkland do we need? What kind of recreational facilities should be in our city? And I appreciate how they have a section that says, what does this mean? Because they're wanting people to understand what a needs analysis is. And the important thing there is that you don't allow a lot of development to happen without parks to be built alongside it, or you have these sort of concrete jungles that have no access to green space. So it's part of the job of this plan to make sure that doesn't happen. And then chapter 6 provides recommendations, tying a lot of this together. And then, of course, the implementation of it. So there's some partnerships that come out of that, like school partnerships, prioritizing different projects. I'd like for you all to review those. Are those order and prioritization projects still on point today, or should they be adjusted? And then project funding. I'm going to be doing a little bit of work alongside Mark to provide some staff analysis on what funding was recommended at the time and what it might look like today based on different priorities of this committee and ultimately the city council. So before we go forward, I wanted to see, are there comments or questions from the committee about this organization? I know y'all have probably had a chance to read this several times over the years too. What are your thoughts?
I know we need to add some stuff. I know we need to subtract, like we need to add the Gateway Park. I think it might actually be
Well, in the Red Hills Park too.
noted, and the Red Hills Park.
Yeah.
And so we need maps for those and have those added. And then we did a town hall and a whole bunch of work with the community that I'd like to see included in this, that's in our rare information. And if we add that to what we've got, then I think we'll have a pretty good jump start to get going on it. And then also it's notable that the school property can no longer count in the parks master plan. So that has to all be removed. It's not viable because a lot of it has been gated off and whatnot, and it's not, for safety issues and whatnot, it can't really be used as public and school. And so that's going to impact us. So it would be good to know our percentages as well, so that when we're moving forward, we know how our balance looks. Because I know we're supposed to have a certain percentage of park. So I don't know if adding the square footage of Gateway Park and Red Hills has helped to make up for that, or if we need to be looking at some other options. Also, I think we determined that the haunted house, the Bell Chamber property, is non-viable for safety reasons as well. So anyway, that's what I remember. Does anybody else have anything?
That Bell Chambers wasn't viable when they put it on here. If you look at page 10 at the top, it talks about Red Hills.
Oh, good.
At 1.5 acres. That'll need to be changed to 3, but
Right.
it is already on there.
And I saw something that said Gateway in there, but it might have been something else.
I haven't seen
That I
that
saw,
in there.
so, okay.
I did see a thing about 8 and Pine having a pocket park in there. Now, we had a, it's in there somewhere, I can't find it at the moment, but we had a meeting with the builder over there, and I asked about a pocket park, and he said they had no plans for this, but it's in the parks plan. So, if it's in here, something is gonna have to be addressed.
Good point.
So,
Good
just to
point.
let you know.
I also noticed it said 99 West and Orchard. Does anybody have any ideas what that would have been?
Probably the walking path or something.
Maybe, yeah.
They always talked about going down the river, but all that's private property, so I don't know.
Right.
I never did understand how you're gonna have a walking path that's 5 foot wide and packed in this little pea gravel stuff.
Yeah.
It just never made sense to me.
You're talking about where it said the playground park should be developed in the residential part of the city west of Highway 99 north of Orchard Street.
Yeah,
So that's basically just saying that somewhere
in that
to the
area.
north of Orchard and to the west of 99, so where we're sitting, probably like up at the Reservoir Heights, there was intended to be a playground built
Gotcha.
somewhere in there. That's the way I read it.
I like the way you read it. Let's go with
I don't
that.
know, when did Red Hills go in?
You said on page 10 is where it says something about Red Hills?
Page 10, yes,
Yeah,
I
right
didn't
at the
see
top.
them.
at the top.
Yeah.
The first paragraph at the end.
The right of the picture.
this is talking 2011, so
Yeah, so
I don't know if it was still in the talking stage or what, so.
And I know it was,
No,
it took about 10 years for
was
that.
in there in
Well,
2020.
The city had been talking about it for like 10 years
Right.
before it actually happened.
1990 is when one person tried to build in there. It stopped as fast as it started. I mean, they had curbs and gutters, but they never had any engineering done and all this other stuff. So it all got ripped out much later.
And then one other thing we probably need to revisit, I was just thinking that is the connectivity of the trails, because we do have the trail that goes through behind the library there. And I know that, it does talk about the trail system in here as well.
Yeah.
So we'll need to kind of determine what that looks like
Yeah.
today compared to what it was.
Connecting the safe routes down 6 to the
Correct.
trail.
Yeah.
But the safe routes only go to what, Orchard?
Yeah, it just goes forward through the grade
Correct.
school.
But there's no reason it can't, we need to make a street from Kelly Street all the way to Ash using the railroad bed. There's talk in here about using $120,000 to,
Making a street,
not a street, but a
a path,
path, whether
either
asphalt.
paved or
whatever.
path gravel.
If you're gonna spend $120,000, you might as well kind of look at, because you already got a base bed there. And we talked about this with TJ the other day, so, but, I mean, if it was in your plan, so to say, there you have sidewalks, and curb and gutter, and blah, 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 but
Well, I mean, originally they had talked about paving that.
yes, yes. You still got the railroad ties and track in there.
Well, and I think it's good too that, like, we need to get all these ideas down and look back on, like, what we have, what we talked about in the town halls, what we can all recall, start building it together, and then hopefully some of the pieces will start fitting with some of the other committees that are working on the different comp plans and master plans and stuff, and then, you know, we'll have something really good. And it's important, I believe, and TJ, correct me if I'm wrong, to make it, when we're talking about things that we like in the parks and whatnot, to make sure that it's a good wish list, because it has to be in there for us to do it. So it,
Attainable.
yes, yeah, but I mean, it even like with the bridge that we want over the river and stuff like that, we need to make sure that things are mentioned, because if it's not in there, we can't do it.
Right.
So if there comes up some Hail Mary awesome thing that's coming up that we
Grant,
could
yeah.
go for,
Yeah.
we need to make sure that we have enough latitude and wiggle room to be able to do that.
Yeah, Counselor Evans, Counselor Cuthbertson, excuse me. You're absolutely right. And this says, can we do it, right? And so it has to be in there for that to happen. And I want to also point out, the second question is, can we afford it? Can we fund it? And that is why the Economic Development Committee is establishing priorities that will then go to City Council to become formalized policies of the city. One of those is housing and transportation, and that includes things like trails and the neighborhood livability around the housing, around the homes. So we're in this committee, we're setting up the can we do it, and Economic Development Committee is working on the how are we going to actually fund it. So it actually all works beautifully together.
The path you're talking about, paving it, we do that. I recommend we put up some islands and
Yeah.
so cars that go down.
That was part of the
That was
original
the
plan.
need of putting the
about
road
that.
there is so a fire truck can go down or emergency vehicle,
Mhm.
and you're gonna put pylons in there.
Right, okay.
What's the percent of road? You know, another thing about these walking paths, you know, it's all fluff and great to have it next to the river, but I see more people walk up that hill past our water tank than ever. They travel up Commercial Street or up through the park, and they go all the way up to that, where the fire road is. They go on through, they might walk the whole is it, 2 mile distance? And then they come right back down here. I would like to see that being looked at more than the river, because you're not gonna get this riverfront, whatever, property.
I think part of the problem with that might be that not all of that's in the city. So
It's not in the city,
city, we could only develop so far with that.
well, that's
So,
fine.
you know,
We gotta keep the road up anyways, because it goes through the water main.
correct.
But the only usable walking path over there would be on the east side of the river. And Corps of Engineers has a road that goes to, I don't know, there's a house back there somewhere. But it's not really conducive, it's not safe.
Right. Well,
So-
and the walking path here, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that supposed to get connected up to Corvallis and their big plan or whatever?
Yeah, if they ever.
If they ever
If they ever.
institute those phases, correct? That it makes, it's part of a larger trail.
The farmers would, there'd have to be a conversation. with the
Yeah, yeah.
Benell's have a choo-choo train down there, have you seen it? As you go to Corvallis, then they have, what, 6 or 8 propane cars? Well, they can't move anything because the truss will burn. They're not planning on replacing that trestle ever. So, it makes more sense to put Sixth Street through here, because they're not gonna replace the trestle. I don't know what Benell's gonna do with the choo-choo train that's landlocked.
Tim, I agree with you 100%. The legality of it, though, is that they could, if they wanted to. They have the legal right to replace it and activate service again. And while that is so terribly unlikely, and you know that to be true, there's nothing we can do other than to work with the county and the federal government because of that rail banking that's there.
That's fine, but Sixth Street's already developed. And then if you go out towards the high school or the elementary school, you know, the railroad bed goes right there, goes right past your place. It follows across territorial. I mean, at what point do you stop just saying no and go ahead and take the chance?
I'm with you. I'm willing. That is a
100 years from now,
worthy
right?
exercise. Yeah, absolutely. It's a worthy exercise. We should do that as a coordinated effort through the city's decision-making process. We go forward, we work with the county, and we try to get buy-in. And there's several steps along the way where it's likely we could hear a no, but I completely agree with you that it is a worthy endeavor.
Well, I've seen my mayor in action at the Capitol, so I know things can get done.
Oh, no pressure.
You got a while.
So I wanted to circle back really quickly to the plan. So between now and next month, I wanted to ask you all just to look at a couple of pieces, just a few pieces of this document. And when we come back, I wanted to find out from you, take out your markers or your red pens and find out what doesn't really work anymore and what should we actually explore a little bit further. Chapter 2 is the one that I think is probably one of the most important because it helps you understand specifically the school sites, trails, recreational facilities, and how all that ties into planning. So you've got 10 pages in that right there. And then I would say skipping down to, do look at page 15. It's just one chapter, but one page. Do look at that because that's the park system today, matrix and aerial views. But then secondly, I would ask you to look at chapter 5. So that's the needs analysis. And this is where they start to identify the land that's needed, again, the facilities that are needed and what it all means, plus the trails. 2 and 5 together, those are really going to give you a sense of ambition towards what you know needs to change next. And there's a lot of things I think we all remember. That's your homework. But for Mark and I, our homework is to go and to find all of the public input that the city still has on file and on record. We will do our best to find everything that Rare had put together Mark, you and I will schedule about a 30-minute check-in just to be sure that we're on the same page, that we found the right stuff, we've looked in person, checked with Don, just do a good thorough exercise.
Okay.
When we come back next month, I think the plan would be to start to think about actually making edits, and that's where staff is going to provide most of the guidance and support for council, or excuse me, for this committee. So as we go over these next couple of months, you'll direct us on what recommendations you would like to make, and we'll do those in a red line font, a track change font. And then ultimately that will go to council for approval. That'll be our process over the next few months. And we'll be aligning this with the Planning Commission's work. So you can expect updates in the next couple of months as the Planning Commission does their work on the comprehensive plan and the land use code. Any thoughts or anything that anybody wants to add to that?
Well, I think when Chris was our rare participant, most of that documentation is on the city website. I've actually pointed a couple people to it already, so I don't think it'd be too hard to get to it.
Good. Also, could we get and I don't know if this is important right now, but it's on my mind, so before I forget, can we get a aerial of the Gateway Park and the specs, or whatever you would call it, from when we leased it, so that we have that to include, since that's not in here, and also Red Hills?
Yes, the Gateway Park for sure. We have that documentation. I'll make sure that we have that. The Red Hills as well. Did they put? Is there a park over there?
In Red Hills?
Yeah, it's wetlands mitigation area and park that, from my understanding, is limited on what we can and can't do with that area.
Got it. So to Tim's point, they do mention Red Hills in this document, and that picture that's right next to it, there's like a little playground, and so that's why I was confused. That makes more sense. Thanks, Mark. That's that spot that you and I walked around with the mayor a while back. Yep.
I think we can do stuff with it. It's just limited on what we can and can't do based off of wetlands mitigation and stuff like that.
No, that's absolutely correct. That was the one where I was suggesting that we may want to tie that into some of our green stormwater infrastructure, where we're trying to capture and retain and treat stormwater, keeping it out of our systems. And you can combine that with parks planning. It just opens up more funding and it makes it look more aesthetically pleasing as well. It's something that we could potentially explore there.
DJ, I came across a grant that is open for application, and it's by OWEB. Right now, unfortunately, their website is down for maintenance. It'll be back up the 8th of the 9th. It's a small grant, like up to $20,000, that the Red Hills wetland would qualify for. I just wanted to bring it to your attention.
I think that's something we should definitely look at. If you would not mind, could you send that along to me via email? Let me take a quick look at it.
Yeah, I'll send it to you when their website comes back up, because right now, what I have bookmarks is going to send you to the page that says it's under maintenance.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Page 37 talks about Red Hills.
Oh, thank you.
So this month this is my suggestion, and y'all feel free to critique this and to change it for what works best for you all. But my suggestion is that we begin looking at chapter 2 and chapter 5, and then next month we'll come back, revisit that, and then what we'll do is, I was thinking, looking at chapter 6 and chapter 7, tying it all together.
Sounds like a plan.
This also has Reservoir Heights Park
Okay.
on 34,
Mm-hmm.
and it's got all these costs in there. I'm sure prices are out of sight, but on page 39, I mentioned 8th and Pine Street.
Mhm.
It's right here,
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
is where I found that. And then it talks about ponds over here by Mill Street. So Mill Street's on this side, but apparently it goes on this side too. So it'd be up just past the railroad beds. There's 2 ponds up there, which you wouldn't even know because it's all overgrown.
Huh.
But there's talk about making that into a pond or a park setting.
Is that city property?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's interesting.
Which property is it?
So it's,
where the ponds
Mill
are.
Street,
so
north.
Is that north?
it's west of the right of way, correct?
Yes.
There's a couple
Yeah,
ponds
in there. Yeah, it's west of the right of way and south of the cemetery.
You know the river that goes past the mayor's house?
So you're talking about
Right.
the brickyard?
No, other side.
Other side.
Other side of the road.
Oh, so, no, that's not, that's, private property and not in city limits.
Okay,
But it's mentioned.
so we need to unmention it. Good
Yes.
point, thank
Yes.
you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great.
Well, and it
These
may,
things have to be in here. I mean, I absolutely went flippant when I seen this because it made no sense. Absolutely made no sense, but if you don't have it in writing, you're not ever gonna get nothing.
Right.
right, and it could be that at one point in time, that was maybe up for sale, and they said, hey, that would be great for a park, or you don't know what happened.
Well, it's
But you don't know
outside
how
the
it got
city
mentioned.
limits.
Right.
Yeah,
That's the other thing, but
yeah,
it's
but,
good to dream.
well, we used to not, be super specific about what we were doing, so,
Well,
as a city.
we
So-
have a large lagoon over here at the park that's outside the city limits.
There you go,
Yes,
so,
Bill Chambers is outside the city limits.
it is.
yeah, so,
The land between Red Hills and the elementary school, is that private property?
yes.
Because a lot of my neighbors were saying that they were promised, this is the builder promising them, that a path would be put in at the end of Aldridge to the elementary school. But if that's private property, that would be,
They were going to
It's-
develop that property into,
It's owned by the folks that develop, not the people that built the house, but the people who built the infrastructure, built the roads, the sewers, the water, all that stuff. Was it North Sandian paving?
I think so.
It's owned by them. So the plan is, I guess, from my understanding, is eventually they wanted to continue Red Hills into that area.
and that just came about because there was other owners. There was a firefighter that owned it prior to that. So, but you're dealing with a lot of wetlands issues there, so.
doesn't affect me. I'm just saying with my neighbors, several of them.
So do we have any more questions or comments on what our homework is from TJ and what we need to be focusing on, or things that we'd like to request?
Page 42, if you look on page 42 up there where the pricing is,
Uh-huh,
it says amenities, boat ramp, and it's all marked
Yeah,
out.
marked out, yeah.
And fishing dock. There used to be a pump chance across from the Catholic Church that also was a boat ramp at one point. You go over there now, and there's just trees all growed up in there. But it used to be a gravel base and a really nice place to launch a boat. But that would be a nice place, kids go down and go fishing. It's far enough away from the intake, and of course the dam's not gonna be there, but, that got marked off there. It might be nice to see it come back, but
Is that city property?
it is.
good point.
Mark, I wanted to check in with you as well, Mark, on your thoughts. Is there anything you'd suggest that the committee look at as part of what they'll be doing between now and next month? And is there anything you think that we should include for our end?
Being out in the streets and talking with kids, destroying the toddler park and stuff out here, just being friendly, asking them not to destroy stuff, because I'm the guy that has, fix it. I've had a lot of kids mention skate parks,
Yes.
things like that. We just need to find and implement, put in here things that are attractive for 10 to 17-year-olds.
The teenagers,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Playground, like a bigger playground that they could play on, a skate park, disc golf, basketball court, stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's all I.
Perfect spot, right down over here. Make a bowl.
That's what I was thinking on
Just north of the library. It's been talked about several times, because the dirt that comes out of the bowl, to make that, you
The
can
parking lot.
fill with,
Right.
making a parking lot.
Yep. And we
Um,
could do, picnic tables, we could do another restroom type deal over there, we could do a larger parking lot, things like that. There's a lot that could be done in that section between the library and the slough that cuts it in half.
We
The
have
county,
that.
the county
We have
limits
the-
us on what we can do there, but that's not,
Not really.
I mean, they can rip out concrete or whatever if they ever had to.
Well, it's like a 100-year lease.
Yeah,
By the time the lease is up, the skate park's gonna be cracked and probably not even existing
And-
anymore.
And we have a big wish list for that park already established somewhere, because we talked about even putting
Oh,
a
yeah.
house back
All
up down
kinds of
there
stuff,
and
yes.
maybe doing city hall or a business bureau or welcome to Monroe or something. So there's a
Kiosk of
big,
some sort.
there's a big wish list, splash pad, locomotive, for.
I did have,
Yeah.
I don't know how it happened, but I had a guy from Sweet Home call me a week or two ago, asking me about the splash pad we had. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, "What are you putting in a splash pad? And we heard you guys have one. I was like, I don't know
No.
what you're talking about. It's cool.
We
He's
wish
like,
that.
well, they're all cool and fun and games until you have to be the person to maintain them. Because
Yeah.
apparently they're a huge pain.
Cindy wanted one.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it, like I said, it's just stuff that's talked about. It doesn't mean that we have to go that route. We need to do our due diligence, but, it's always good to have that,
Did you know I learned from when I went to that field trip in the Long Pond watershed for the.
Oh, you went to that?
Yeah. and the removal. I learned a little bit of Monroe history that I didn't know. Before the train and all that, we started off with steam powered.
Yep.
Came right up close.
Yep.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, I didn't know.
I'm not wearing my hat, but it's on our logo.
yeah.
You have to ride the trolley during the festival and you get the full history lesson.
You missed the day of the flower mill that was there. It was huge.
TJ, did you have anything else for us?
Well, I wanted to touch on just a couple of things in this executive summary to kind of get us thinking a little bit about how much has changed and where we might be spending some of our time. I think the only things I wanted to point out first is our community has grown just a little bit, so we'll definitely upgrade our size. Second thing is they were already thinking about this. Y'all were already thinking about this at the time. There's two pieces here. I'll highlight this. The city knows that simply planning for and providing opportunities are not enough. You have to do that. You have to do that so that you can build the work, you can build the projects. But secondly, they already point out funding must be secured to properly manage and maintain the system. So
Yes.
part of this process, we must look at not only the budget, but also the likelihood of getting those grant funds and how we might be able to tie them to other projects. That's where we can be successful. It's not just a park, it's a wetland project as well. It's not just a bridge, it's also a wastewater line, right? Those are the kinds of things that allow us to think out of the box. So I wanted to point that out. Looking here, we do a lot of tying to the Monroe School District. I think it's important to revisit that. Do we want to reestablish that relationship and maintain it within our parks master plan? Do we want to change that for the reasons that folks have already mentioned, that some of that land isn't accessible largely because of it sounds like safety reasons? But I wanted to just call that out. That's something that we brought up and made a big piece of this plan at the time. We talk about contributions such as the city park situated on the southeast section of the community with no true amenities. I think some of these things might still be true. And how do we address those things? Are the recommendations when we get to those next month? Are those still true and accurate? And they talk in this executive summary about what we're trying to do here, like develop a solid foundation for the park system master plan. And what they did is they got citizen feedback. Does it make sense to have another feedback session, perhaps an online survey, and or a check-in with the community at a town hall on any of these updates we want to make? That's a recommendation that this committee should make to the council one way or another. And I also wanted to just point out, they did point out a lack of a significant community park or basic amenities reduces the level of service of park ratio to population. That's really critical. I think trying to activate the park that we were talking about, the Gateway Park, this touches on some of the work that several committees are doing. So I think that might be an area where we want to try to hone in a little bit more and decide what our next steps are in terms of priorities. Those are the big pieces here that I wanted to call out. Councilor Cuthbertson, you could probably recite this document almost by, heart. Do you have thoughts or recommendations for this committee on things that they might want to take note of?
I don't think anything other than what I already brought up. I do know, we did ask the school and the answer was no. So, if we want to ask them again, we can ask them again, but at the time, because we needed to have that 100 years ago when we were trying to do this before and didn't follow through, we had to have their blessing or not so that we knew that piece. And at that time, the answer was no. So, anyway, but other than that, I don't have anything else. I can't think of anything.
Food for thought. The council has changed several times. The only person that's on there now that, when this was written, is Harry Myers.
Yeah.
The school board over here has all changed too. And it wouldn't hurt, because I'd like to hear him say no again, instead of just presume,
Yeah.
they don't want to be involved.
And that's totally fine, I have no problem with that, but it was because of insurance liability and safety why they said it, so I just don't want people getting their hopes up that, because it would be the same thing if the city allowed somebody else to use their property without having the proper documentation, it just technically can't be open to the
The
public.
problem with this, all this thinking and this insurance stuff, is the people are the ones that pay taxes to fund every bit of this. School system, this city, all this stuff. And so when you start regulating it to the point people are stifled, and they have to go to Junction City to play in their parks because we're afraid to do something over here, we better start questioning things.
Well, we can do it in our parks, that's not a problem, those are open public parks, that's.
But why? Why is that
That's
so
fine,
different?
but it's not using the school grounds as our city parks. That's where we're crossing the line, because that's their insurance and their liability,
That's true,
not the
this is full
city.
of it.
So,
This is full of it. On page 60 of this document, it also talks about community inventory, and it's got all kinds of different little check-off things. And you can see what's still active and what's not, if you look at it. But I know we're supposed to be doing what, chapter 2 and 5,
Correct.
so that's fine.
well,
And feel free to jump into other things too. I was just throwing out a recommended structure, but if y'all wanted to jump into other things too, I don't want to, hold you back from that, especially since that's, Tim, some where your interest is. Second thing I wanted to mention is with the school district, we have been doing a good job of establishing a relationship with Bill. I think it doesn't hurt to reach out and say, hey, last time we checked in with you, here was our understanding. Does that check with what you understand to be true? And is there any reason where, maybe we could establish some kind of at least including it as part of the connection between trails, something like that? It's possible Bill could be interested in coming and talking with us if there's anything there. And if there's not, I at least get the confirmation.
Well, it doesn't hurt to extend that hand, ask anyway, and we need to work on that relationship with the school. I don't know what happened. It happened a long
yeah,
time
that's a
ago.
long time ago.
I wasn't around. I just want to try and fix it if we can. And this is one way to do it.
And they were incredibly kind and nice about it, and they no doubt know that people use the track, et cetera. It's not, it wasn't that, it simply was just the liability
Right.
issue. But
I get it. I get
it
it.
totally doesn't hurt to say, hey, we're getting ready to button this up, we just wanna make sure that we get our verbiage right and everything's correct and we're not misrepresenting, so can we
Sure.
clarify with you? There's no harm in doing that.
Page 2 of your document, you'll look on there, and it says Parks and Recreational Advisory Board. And if you look down in there, it says Monroe City Superintendent Randy Gross. So he was on the advisory board for making up this policy. I remember seeing him at several meetings. So it'd be nice to see if maybe Bill will come over and be on this.
Someone that knows them can ask them.
Yeah, we can check on that. And I think we start with just a conversation about, hey, it's in there now. What are your thoughts on this? Here's what we understand to be true about liability and risk. And then ask him to come have a conversation with this committee. That might be a good opportunity during that conversation to say, hey, we're actually ripping this thing open a little bit more. And, we know the school was involved last time. What do you say, Bill?
Sounds like a great idea.
Well, I know a bunch of kids go over there to the school and use all the facilities now, so I don't know why they couldn't use it now.
It's not saying they can't use it, it's who's allowing it.
Yeah.
Like, we have to be careful as a city for us to say, you can go swing on the swing at Tim's house, and it says it here in our plan, because we can't authorize that, right? So we have to make sure that what we're documenting and saying as a city is correct. We, as a city, shouldn't be giving permission for other properties when it's not, been agreed to, and so that's why.
As of right
we need
now,
to-
that's what it says.
I know that, and Randy was on there at the time, Tim, and that's why it happened, and that's okay, but we need to update that. So we just need to verify, that's all we're saying.
Well, that's all I'm saying too.
Okay, so
Let's
we
hear no-
agree.
yes or no from-
So point closed, we agree, we'll get a yes or no.
Well, let's not argue about it.
Good job, all right.
Sounds
Move
good.
on.
I think we're clear for staff on what our next steps are. I don't have anything more for the committee. Counselor Cuthbertson, I don't know if you do.
No, I'm good, does anybody else have anything?
There's a mention of the dog park up there at Reservoir Heights. Did you see that in there? Yep.
Okay, we're gonna do it up there at one time?
It's mentioned in there.
Well, it got relocated
Yes, it
apparently.
did.
Well,
It's hard now.
it would not be out of interest to
To
keep it
do
in
a
there.
second one?
because that one had to be shortened by half because of the well.
I know that it would be good to have a dog park on such a steep hill. Dogs get running and on a hill. Oh, trying to stop them before they get
There's two
upset.
sides to that park up there. You know that, right? There's what you see, and then you look at
Oh,
the
yeah, the
west,
other half,
and it's just,
yeah.
What other?
We have a little gem, yeah, we have a little gem that most people don't know about up
All
there.
I've
I
seen is
accidentally
the-
just learned about it.
Did you?
All I've seen is the steep hill that's great on snow days.
Yeah.
I think we should make that the skate park. Anyway,
Still work.
if we're all done, we should probably go ahead and adjourn. We're over
We
time,
should
so.
win that TJ.
Well, I just wanted to remind everybody that there is a county commissioner coming Saturday, and he's doing a town hall at
Yep.
Old Methodist Church.
South Deputy Shore Center. Yes, I was invited to sit with him. We'll be there too. I already got invited by the commissioner.
All righty, if we're all done then, I'm gonna call the meeting to a close.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
You too.
Tim?
what kind of gym did you find up there in that park,
What?
Mark? Hey, Mark, what kind of gym did you find up there?
The quarry,
Oh, yeah.
I
It
didn't
is
know
quite
what that.
interesting.
Is it
I got the
boring
pleasure of
park?
fighting fire up there one time and, Pop killed us.
Yeah.
Oh, I
So
guess.
that's terrible.
And there's a
And-
flat